So by now you guys have probably heard of the drama that's going on with Adobe right now. And basically there's been some scandalous stuff happening over at Adobe, and basically they've been revealed to have been tracking data and starting to, I mean, among everything else that makes Adobe stupid is like they've been tracking info, they've been using people's data, stuff like that. So just some like kind of bad security stuff, I guess. And on top of that, I mean, they've kind of had like this asinine subscription service for like 10 years now. I don't even know, like what is it? It's like $100 something a month. Yeah, so $60. It's $60 a month for all apps. And I'm pretty sure they don't. It costs more to get it monthly if you bundle it in the year. So basically, Adobe's been just kind of raking it in on people who do this for a living, trying to get, you know, money from businesses and ad agencies and stuff like that. Because Adobe knows that if you make your living from this, then you're not going to care to pay that price. Like, you're going to just budget that out, essentially. Like, you're going to just charge more. You're going to work that into your business model. But yeah, I'm trying to find how much it costs for... I mean, they do a student deal, but it's still $20 a month for students. That's still ridiculous. 60 times 12. $720 a year if you do it monthly. If you do it every month, it costs you $720 a year. So I've been using Adobe products since since before 2014, but I actually started like doing video editing and stuff in 2014, so I'll call it 2014. So it's 2024 now, so let's just call that 10 years, all right? So 720 times 10, that is $7,200 that Adobe has milked in order to just give me basic functionality and use of their products. I don't ever utilize their cloud service. I don't utilize any of their Adobe stock stuff. Basically, I've always kind of just used mainly Premiere, After Effects, sometimes Illustrator, and then sometimes Lightroom and Photoshop for thumbnails or like photography, things like that. But the big ones I've mainly always used are After Effects and Premiere. So $7,200 is the price that has been milked for 10 years. And I don't know if it cost less back then. I'm assuming they've probably adjusted for inflation and, you know, trying to gouge people more and stuff. But I basically started using Adobe at first because my dad used to be into, well, he still is. My dad does like IT stuff, and he does a lot of programming. And back in the day, there was a company called Macromedia, and they basically got bought out or dissolved into Adobe. So there was a lot of like tech summits and stuff that they would do at the Max, the Adobe Max convention every year. So basically, sometimes the perks of these conventions is they'd give you the software for free, or, you know, people that attended there would get gifts and stuff from different vendors that were at the show. So my dad basically would get free licenses and stuff from this convention. So that's kind of how I was able to cut my teeth on a lot of this software and kind of become what I am today with, you know, my media creation and stuff. But so yeah, bottom line is, you know, I've been a very loyal Adobe user for 10 years now. Any single bit of money I've made from media creation, content creation has all been through Adobe. I just couldn't stand anything but Premiere. I was actually one of the early adopters of Premiere. Back when a lot of people were still on Final Cut Pro 7 and people were kind of transitioning to FCPX. And it was kind of right around that time when I believe they edited Deadpool and a couple other movies on Premiere, and people kind of actually woke up and started to realize how powerful the software was. And past that point, it was basically like almost a domino effect. Tons of YouTube people started using it. They started doing a lot of movies on it, a lot of pre-production, pre-viz stuff on Premiere. And then don't even forget After Effects. Like, it's a workhorse powerhouse for motion graphics, and, you know, you can do compositing in there, motion tracking, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess I wanted to announce that I'm a 10-year loyal Adobe user, and just 2 or 3 weeks ago I've switched to DaVinci Resolve permanently. I don't think that I'm gonna give Adobe any more money. I absolutely hate their Creative Cloud service. Their biggest mistake was going to CC, in my opinion. before you could get CS6 on like a disc and the software was done. And basically I feel like them moving to a subscription model basically gave them an excuse to be lazy and kind of give half-finished, half-baked ideas to the consumers. They're just very slow at innovating these days. For example, I was talking to my friend about how, you know, like power bins and stuff work in Resolve, and there's been so many times when I'm using Premiere where I've had to basically reinvent the wheel, and it makes it so different. It makes it a lot more difficult to have a consistent brand and a consistent content style. Whereas I feel like DaVinci is like a breath of fresh air for that. If you're somebody that wants to set and forget a preset, you want to design an animation by hand and just save it, you can do that. It's so much easier. Not only that, like the color tab just, oh my gosh, it makes Lumetri look terrible in my opinion. For a while last year, I was kind of doing this thing where I was editing in Premiere, and then what I was doing is I was like sending the XML over to Resolve, but it was such a bitch to try to get it to move over smoothly and stuff, to try to do color grading, and then I'd end up with like 3 times the files, and just one project would end up taking like 400 gigabytes of space, and I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't be doing this just for color grading. So I went back to doing Lumetri color for a while, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. So I mean, flat fee, like that's the big one. It's a flat fee. It was like what, $270 something or high 200s for a Resolve Studio license. I mean, that's unheard of. That's just like, that's a no-brainer, I feel like. And the fact that they give you so many features for free just really sets them apart, I feel like. I remember towards the end of when I was in high school, which was around like 2016, 2017, our teacher kind of started investing in some Blackmagic products. He picked up like an Atom Switcher, and we picked up some DaVinci software, and we could kind of tell that Blackmagic was moving in the right direction. We could kind of tell that we could see what they were trying to do, you know what I mean? Like at this point we'd been kind of using like a lot of Sony cameras, like FS700s, and we'd been using a couple Reds, things like that, and we could kind of tell that Blackmagic was going to try to corner the market in some way, like especially when it comes to like studio applications. But they've kind of just gone above and beyond, and they've gone even past that in 10 years. It's just insane to me how much progress and innovation they've done in the 10 years where Adobe has done like nothing. They basically just release these half-baked products that or like they release like these features that seem innovative, but then it's like this half-baked thing, and then it takes them like 3 or 4 years to even ever update the thing to make it usable. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like they release like text-based editing, and it's like it's super janky, and then they release like they started releasing like some AI features, and I'm like, what is the point of all this? Like, I don't even get it. Why don't we have basic things? Like, why can't I save effect presets the same way I can do in Resolve? Like, how have you guys not figured that out yet, you know? Like, how come in Premiere I have to like do a bunch of extra steps to try to be able to create a preset that will make my life easier instead of having to reinvent the wheel every single time I create a project, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, there are third-party plugins out there for Premiere, but they're super clunky. They slow the timeline down a ton. They bring your GPU to its knees for whatever reason. And it's like the way that Resolve has ways for people to create like community effects almost. Like, I've downloaded these like animation preset packages and like Zoom package presets from these different creators for Resolve that are completely free, and it's like Blackmagic did the right thing, and they baked all this functionality in from the beginning, from the get-go. Whereas with Premiere, I feel like every single thing with Premiere has been a band-aid fix for like the last 10 years, you know? It's like, it just hurts my feelings, man. It's just disgusting. They've gotten so much money from people, and they've done literally nothing with it. And then now to have like the stab in the back of them like tracking people and like taking data from people and stuff, it's just like, it's kind of like the last straw for me, you know? Like, I kind of was trying to stay loyal and, you know, be the guy that could be like, oh, I stayed on Premiere, I didn't jump ship, like, you know, I'll go down with this shit. But it's like, at a certain point, I feel like, I don't know. For those of you unfamiliar with the way the Resolve presets and like power bins work and stuff, I came up with a pretty good analogy earlier for when I was talking to my friend, and it was like, imagine if you could take the process of you pulling your car in the driveway, putting the car up on jack stands, taking the wheels, tires off, putting all the lug nuts in order where they're supposed to go, taking the old brakes off, after you spray the brake cleaner, after that you reassemble everything, you reconnect everything, you pop the tire back on, you pop the lug nuts back in, you torque it to spec where you like it, and then you take the car back off the jack stands, and then you're done. Now imagine if you could save a preset of all that work. You could save a preset of that entire process and have it so all you have to do is go over and click the box that says change my brakes and drag it over to your timeline, and then instantly your brakes are changed exactly how you set it up by hand before, so you don't need to completely manually change your brakes out every single time. That's what it's like in going from Premiere to Resolve for me. It's like in Premiere, I was reinventing the wheel every single time I wanted to create a video, and it was like, dude, this is getting excessive. Like, why is it taking me 5 minutes to have to go find like the transform effect, drag the transform effect on? If you're able to save a preset in Premiere, it's like it's tied to the length of the original clip that you did it for, the keyframes, so it makes it much more difficult to like drag a transform effect on, right? Because Premiere doesn't play well with scaling for some reason. So say you have like an animation preset that's set up, but the picture that the frame size that you designed the preset for is only a 1080p frame. If you go to drag that preset that you made in Premiere onto a 4K frame, the animations will be all off because the scaling's different. It's not going to look right. It's not going to transform properly because the numbers are going to change, right? So in Premiere, what I'd have to do is I'd have to create separate presets for every single resolution and every single thing I wanted to do, right? If I wanted to make a gaming video, I had a specific preset so that way I could take the video clip from the webcam that I recorded, and I had it so, for example, it was like 4K 16:9 left justify, right? What that was it was a preset of me basically just taking that video clip that was centered originally when I dropped it in, and then scaling it down and moving it to the left so it's left justified. After that, if I wanted to apply like a mask to it or something, what I'd have to do at that point is create a second preset and call it 4K cam left justify mask, or like 4K cam mask. Whereas in Resolve, I can combine all those different effects together and then drag it over and just name it one preset. I don't need to manually do everything a whole bunch of times. So it's just stuff like that, you know? Like we have Fusion now, and it's like, as somebody whose brain has worked around layers forever with After Effects compositing and stuff, it's been kind of interesting trying to get used to nodes because they're slightly more confusing, but I feel like they make more sense because the way the workflows work. Like with node-based, you have to kind of use your brain more in like a different visual way, I guess. But what I've seen from Fusion so far is awesome. Like besides Blackmagic carrying and like not tracking your data, they're also nice enough to give you the free version, which has so much stuff built into it that is also in the studio version. From what I can tell, like the difference between the studio version and the free version so far has just been 10-bit color grading, and then you have more of the effects like the film grain effects, and you have more of the built-in Resolve effects. So that's been nice. Yeah, that's about that. That's about all I gotta say about that. So yeah, later guys.